Whether you just placed an order for the new xTool O1 Omni and are curious to know what you're going to get, or if you're still spinning your wheels trying to decide whether or not you want to get one, you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to be sharing a full unboxing experience of the xTool O1 Omni, specifically the dual UV version. So if you're wondering how much space you're going to need, what the setup process looks like, then you're going to want to stick around. I was lucky enough to be a part of the beta testing group for this machine, so I got it ahead of everyone. I spent the last 2 months testing out a bunch of different materials, figuring out all of its cool features, and learning all of its weird quirks. Within the next few weeks, I'll be sharing a series of videos that walk you through the ins and outs of the machine, xTool Studio, which is the software that you'll need to create some cool stuff, and everything that you can make with this machine. If you don't want to miss the deep dive, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. So let's get into it. The first thing I did and recommend doing before you even get your machine is start making space for it. I had no idea what to expect when I got it, but this thing is kind of big. The machine dimensions are 28 by 15 by 19 roughly, so I had to shift some things around and add in a specific table just for the O1. It weighs about 91 pounds, and by the directions on the box, you're gonna need 2 people to lift it. Another important thing to note is the front and rear doors do open, so you'll want to keep clearance and a slightly wider table in mind for the overhang. And although you can remove the doors, there are some operations that require they be there and be closed. Now, before I get into the good stuff, I felt it important to share some thoughts on why I think the O1 was a good addition to my tools and not just another case of shiny object syndrome. I'm often hand painting and even spray painting things like engraved or laser cut signage for my business. And if you ever had to color fill an engraving, you know how long this process can be. So I considered how freeing it would be if the O1 could take on this tedious process while allowing me to work on other parts of a project to get things done more efficiently. It would also give me the chance to offer products that I couldn't normally make by hand. By improving this workflow alone, I think a UV printer is well worth adding to my tool stack, and if you're in the same boat, then it could be for you. Now back to the unboxing. The majority of the contents in this package lie within the machine itself. Now remember, I did receive the beta version of this machine, so the items you see in this video may vary slightly from what you get with the official version, along with how it's packaged. Once everything's out, you'll want to make sure that you remove all labels, plastics, and foam from the machine and along the print head, including below it and the side of it, except for the foam pieces that you'll find in the ink station. These are necessary for the function of your printer, so don't toss these. Here's a quick overview of what you'll get when you order the dual UV version. A pack of syringes, we'll discuss this more later, a waste ink cartridge, eye protection when running a job with the doors open, spare ink scrapers, some maintenance tools including non-woven cleaning supplies, moisturizing liquid to help keep the print head from drying out, and some ceramic magnets to test on. Moving on to setup. The only tool you'll really need is the included screwdriver to remove bolts that are in place to keep the bed from moving during shipping. Otherwise, the panels are all magnetic for easy access, and everything is clearly labeled, so you can't really go wrong. Here's where we install the waste ink cartridge and the moisturizing liquid. They all just push into place, and you're done on this side. On the left side of the machine is the internal air purification system. You'll need to install the filter, which is also included with the machine. A common question I received is whether or not an external purifier is needed. And to that, I honestly would say it depends. There were some testers who didn't experience an odor at all, but were operating within a large studio or an entirely different level of their workspace. As someone who's sensitive to smells and also working in a smaller space, then I would recommend at the very least using the exhaust hose to vent out of a window. With the dual UV version, you get the privilege of using your standard CMYK colors in addition to specialty inks including Flex White for slightly bendable fabrics like canvas or leather, and fluorescent red and yellow to create cool effects under a black light. Now that the inks are installed, we're ready to power this on using the USB that it came with and connect it to xTool Studio. Now, xTool is really great at thinking about the user experience and trying to make their setup as simple as possible. Once connected, you're shown an easy to follow walkthrough of the next step, which honestly might be the most complicated process of this entire thing. To manually extract the ink, you'll need to access the extraction holes located at the top of the print head. And this is why you'll need the syringes. This process isn't super laborious, but it can be tricky, especially if the machine is higher than eye level. You'll need to insert the syringes at a specific angle to extract the moisturizer and the ink, while being cautious not to pull too much and simultaneously not push air back in. I suggest using a step stool if you need to, and repeat this process for each of the 12 inks. This is an example of pulling way more white ink than was necessary. I wasn't at the correct angle and the ink kept bubbling, so just be cautious. Now, speaking of white ink, xTool incorporated an automatic white ink stirring system, so it keeps your white ink fresh all day. From my understanding, this is an issue with traditional UV printers. The ink settles to the bottom and it causes clogging. So this is one less thing you'll have to worry about with the O1. However, if you are using this in a small space or in your home, just remember that this ink stirring system is not a quiet one. Imagine that at 3 a.m. There's also on-demand standard and deep cleaning if you need it. The last part of the setup is running a few calibrations, including a nozzle test to ensure that the ink is flowing correctly. Some calibrations may require switching between the mini base plate and the standard base plate, along with using some printer paper. I don't think it's uncommon for your very first nozzle test to look like this, so here's what you're striving for. The lines should be solid and opaque, and if not, you may need to run a few cleans and repeat the process. With all that setup out of the way, I was finally ready to print something with this O1. For my very first test print, I used the scrap piece of acrylic I had lying around with some artwork I pulled from xTool Studio. I figured since the acrylic was already white, I didn't have to add white to the settings. My very first print was done, and I was extremely underwhelmed. I'm glad I didn't give up there because I realized immediately as a newbie that there would be a lot I need to learn about proper settings to get a good quality print. I retried again using white ink this time, and the results were much better. Now I can see what the hype was about the O1. With the basics down, I was ready to create a real first print using the ceramic magnet. I imported a super cute pic of my Chi and used what I believe is one of the best features of the Omni, the Pixel-Scan and SmartMask feature. I was able to easily drag and resize the image onto the selected area, targeting only the magnet without overspray. I also used spot color to add varnish to the nose and eyes to make them shine. And less than 10 minutes later, I had a really awesome print. I'm happy to say that I've tested and seen success with a bunch of different materials, including cardstock, basswood, plastic, and some others. I haven't even touched on the possibilities using add-on accessories like the rotary tool. That's a future video. The xTool O1 Omni is a nice addition to your workshop if you're looking for an easy way to add color to your workflow, if you already own xTool products like the P-Series laser cutters and want the full ecosystem experience, or are looking for an intuitive machine to get started in the world of UV printing. However, I wouldn't recommend this printer to someone who already owns industrial-grade equipment and needs large output, nor those who would find themselves using it once in a blue moon. There is still maintenance required for this machine, and there are consumables, so it may be more costly not to use it than to purchase it in the first place. Remember, the machine isn't the business, it's just another tool you can use to improve your business. I hope this video was informative for you and helped to answer some questions that you might still have about the xTool O1 Omni. And if you find that you have more questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd be happy to answer them for you to the best of my abilities. And if I don't know the answer, I can definitely point you in the right direction. So again, if you're interested in more videos like this, where I teach you what you can make with this printer, some tutorials if you want to walk side by side on creating some cool things, and the software in particular that you're going to have to learn if you're not familiar with xTool Studio, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment letting me know which one you're thinking about getting.